Finally, the wait is over. Were it as good as you thought it'd be?
Yeah, I mean it was quick. I'm just glad that we could get the win. You know, our backs were against the wall at half time, and Leigh are a good side, and we knew what we was up against, especially after that poor performance we put in against Leeds. So we really wanted to turn that round, and the lads dug in that second half, and you know, we showed that we were a good side, and I think a lot of people have written us off, and it's just good to be a part of that team. We've got a bit of a seed mentality, I think, at the minute, and you know, we want to show that we're more than deserving of our place in Super League. So yeah, I think that second half was just a good example of what we're about.
Yeah, because second half to first half was like chalk and cheese, wasn't it? But you dominated second half. You were on the field, you missed some good meters. You know, it was a decent first hit out for you, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, I mean, my nerves were hanging out after what was coming on. When I realised I wasn't going on in first half, I was yeah, it was pressure. I felt a bit of pressure on myself. But as soon as you get out there and you get that first carry, then you're all right, and all that goes away, and you're into the game. You're concentrating on trying to keep your lungs in your chest. So it was, yeah, it was good. It was a good hit out. The lads have been really good. Obviously, they knew there was I was feeling a bit of pressure, and they really helped as well.
When did you find out? Because we were at the presser yesterday. There were a few hints dropped you might be playing. What did you know?
Yeah, Chesney told me on Sunday that I'd be getting the nod. So I've had a few days to get my head around it and get the prepping. But I don't really think it hit home until I pulled up here tonight, and you know, you come out and see all hustle and bustle of what's going on, and then it starts to sink in.
Well, he was happy with how you went. What's the aim now, to get in regular on the 17 now?
Yeah, I think so. I think, you know, my minutes weren't that big today. I've not played that much. I've had to come back from injury and stuff. So I think hopefully if I get the nod again, it's getting more minutes under my belt and getting more minutes and just keeping that consistent level of playing and hopefully I'd, you know, top the minutes up a bit. And if I can do that, then hopefully I can keep my place at 17.
Is it a dream come true? Because obviously you've been in the Championship so long. Do you think the chance had gone?
Yeah, definitely. I think it took me about 230 something games to get here tonight. So yeah, at 29-year-old, I did think that the chance had passed me by, but I've got it, and hopefully I've taken it with both hands.
I'll let you get off. Cheers.
First season in Super League complete. What have you made of the whole 2017 experience?
It's been fantastic actually. When I look back at it as a whole, I couldn't have really asked for it to go any better than it has done. It didn't start great with being injured, and then slowly but surely I've made my way into the first team and got there. You know, I started a couple of starts at the end of the season, so it's been really good. It's been a pretty steep learning curve. But overall, I'm really happy with how it's gone, and scoring last minute again was cherry on the cake. Yeah.
Well, I was going to mention that. I was at Salford a couple of weeks ago, so when you came off and you looked frustrated, you looked amused that you hadn't scored. How you went out there so many times today, and I thought, is he going to score? Is he going to score? Is he going to score? You score in the final minute. What was that feeling like?
Yeah, it was great. It's always great to get over, especially when you don't do it often like me. But yeah, just how the lads celebrated it, because I knew how much it meant to me. That meant a lot. But you know, pressure makes diamonds. I always meant to score, so you know, I don't like to get there too early.
And they did seem to create a few chances for you. Were you ready and waiting for that ball just to crash over?
Yeah, I just got a bit desperate to the end, to be honest. But yeah, it was. Finney and Sammy looked after me at the end, so yeah, very happy.
And obviously finishing fifth in the league this season, a great finish for the club as well.
Yeah, it's fantastic, isn't it? It's a joint record, highest finish. We're finishing above Wigan Warriors. You know, obviously above some other big teams like Warrington and things like that. And I think with a bit of luck, we'd have been in that top four. So it's, you know, if someone had told us that we'd have finished fifth and missed out on top four by 1 point at the beginning of the season, we would have probably took it. But now where we're at and how far we've come this season, we're probably a little bit disappointed. But you know, you can't take away from what we've done and what the club's done off the field as well to match it. So yeah, overall very happy.
And to nil Wigan finally, that must have been quite a nice way to end the season.
Yeah, how often are you going to get opportunity to do that? So yeah, really happy with that. I think we just came out with a bit more energy. I think, you know, it was a bit of a dead rubber, but you know, we wanted to finish fifth as high as we could and show everybody that, us just missing out on the top four wasn't a fluke that we were up there. We earned it, and I think we showed that with how we played tonight. It's a really important round. Suicide is the biggest killer in men under 50, and it's because men, for whatever reason, don't or can't speak to people about the mental health issues, and I'm hopeful that if they can see people they look up to, whether it be because they're a professional athlete, because they're a rugby player, because they're a fan, because we do a physically demanding, tough job. If they can see us talking about our anxieties, us having depression, the things that we're scared of, and the things that bother us, then hopefully that can give them the confidence and the courage to speak to people about their issues and hopefully prevent unnecessary suicide.
Obviously, it's from the outside, it's the macho world, the world of rugby league. You're all tough men going out there on the pitch. Is it about breaking down that stigma then, that because you can do it, anyone can do it in a sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Mental health isn't selective of who it affects. Whether you weigh 17 stone or 7, it doesn't care. And we all have anxieties, we all have worries. Man, woman, professional athlete or postman, it doesn't matter who you are, what you do. It really doesn't care, and we all have to band together and talk about it. And it's, some conversations are difficult. Talking about suicide is difficult. It's not a nice subject to talk about. But we have to be able to have these uncomfortable conversations so that we don't need to talk about it in the future. I think that's, I've spoken about how I made my debut in 2008, and people certainly weren't talking about mental health then. So it's really good that we were able to have such a big discussion about it now, and hopefully, like I said, we won't have to keep doing it, but we will until we don't need to anymore.
So many stories as well in this campaign. What's your story? What's the message you're trying to get across to people?
I think the message, the thread that runs through all our stories is you have to accept whatever it is that you're struggling with, whether it's what you look like, your sexuality, whether it's that you're having suicidal thoughts, whatever it is, you have to accept it, you have to speak to someone about it, and then you have to go through the necessary steps to deal with it. And that seems to be the thread that runs through each and every story. So, and just the circumstances are different. So mine was to do with being gay. Brad's spoken about his birthmark, all I'm talking about depression, and all the main crux of the stories are very similar, and it's just the details that are different. So hopefully people will be able to see that, apply their own circumstances, and the treatment is the same. You speak to someone and you take the advice of professionals if necessary, and you deal with it, and my life is infinitely better for doing so.
Do you feel now that we talk more about Keegan Hirst, rugby league player, rather than Keegan Hirst, gay rugby league player?
I think so, but do you know what? I am proud to be Keegan Hirst, gay rugby player. I am a rugby player and I am gay, and it's important for me that people often ask me, why do people need to know about your sexuality? And people don't need to know about my sexuality. They don't need to know who I sleep with or what I do in my private life. But it's important that kids growing up know that you can be gay and be a rugby player if you want to be. Or you can have a birthmark and be a professional rugby league player, or mental health issues or whatever. It's really important that people don't ostracise themselves because of how they feel about themselves, because that's not the case. And our game is, diverse and inclusive, and the people in this room exemplify that.
You've obviously been a trailblazer along with Ian Roberts and Gareth Thomas. Is the message for you, if there are any other gay players out there, it's not as hard as it seems coming out? Obviously it is difficult, but
it's a difficult one. It's such an individual thing, and you have to accept who you are, be okay with it, and then want to share that with the world. There might be rugby league players who are gay who don't want to, they might see me popping on TV about it all the time and think I don't want to have to do that, which is understandable. That's just, it's important to me that people can see that you can be that person if you want to be. But you don't have to. They wouldn't have to do what I do. They'd have their own story. So it's difficult. I'd like to stand here and say if you're gay, come out and everything will be fine. But someone has to be. They have to get there on their own. But as we've seen over the last 4 years, this game that we love is really accepting and inclusive.
We've obviously had, as you say, rugby league's inclusive, but there's been an issue in Australia with Israel Folau and his comments. I guess it's disappointing to hear those, and anyone who thinks straight thinks it's a disappointment as well. But it must be heartening that there are many people coming out and saying, no, this is unacceptable in this day and age.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the Australian Rugby Union have done the right thing. Absolutely, he was warned, and when you're in a position of influence, you are a role model, whether you want to be or not, and he's not oblivious to that. And I think Thumper in Bambi said it best: if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. So he didn't need to go on, and it's a difficult one when you talk about religion because of how important religion is to people. But it doesn't give you a right to, put down a whole section of society. So I think what's happened with Israel Folau and what the stance Australian Rugby Union's taking is the right thing, and I think him trying to get a GoFundMe page to pay for his legal fees when he makes millions of dollars is just indicative of the bloke. So the proof is always in the pudding.
Yeah, it's not religion that's the issue; it's the person rather.
Absolutely, yeah. And there's lots of religious people who are religious who come out and said that that's not their views. That's just his views. And if he's hiding behind religion to be homophobic, then that's his choice. There is freedom of speech and all that. But have some balls and just be homophobic. Don't hide behind your religion, because that's not fair on others. So, but he's been found out, and people aren't stupid and they can see something for what it really is.
Through your experience, is that something that's happening less and less these days to you personally?
I am very lucky. I've experienced very, very little homophobic language, behaviour, carrying on. There's a lot of people who aren't 6'4", rugby player, who are perhaps a bit more effeminate, who maybe stand out a little bit more, who have not been as lucky as I am, and they're the brave ones. They're the real heroes who walk around with their sexuality as a real badge of pride. And I'd like to say it's something that's happening less, but I don't. It's it's well documented about those girls who were attacked on a train. We've got people protesting outside schools about whether people should be taught that LGBT people exist. So I'm glad my kids know that I exist. So it's 50 years since the LGBT movement started, and it's really sad that we're still having to talk about these issues that are happening. Israel Folau and people being attacked on trains and schools and things like that. It's I'd like to say things are getting better, but the news suggests that it's an ongoing struggle.
Final one from me, and the press almost seem to be desperate at times for a professional footballer to come out. I have no idea why, because as you say, why it's of anyone's interest, I'm not sure. But do you see that as being a big watershed mark, or just why are they so obsessed with it?
I think because it is the world's favourite sport. It's such a different beast to rugby league because of the fan base. There's a lot of clubs have big fan bases in Africa and Middle East where it's illegal to be gay. So as sad as it sounds, it's perhaps a money issue. People don't want people to stop buying shirts. And there's a lot of young men go watch. I've been to football grounds. They're not as nice an environment as a rugby league ground. So maybe people just think I don't need the aggro, and that's their prerogative. Like I've said, it is important because it's important for a kid to grow up and see that you can be gay and be a footballer, because I'm positive that you can. And hopefully at some point that will be the case. But I think it is the last bastion, and I think maybe after that you'll get a lot of players coming out. particularly in football, because there's so many. You know, there's about 4,000 professional footballers in the UK, so law of averages says there's got to be a couple. But yeah, we'll see what happens.
Just want to ask about Friday's game. I mean, obviously a tough result against Catalans. How important is getting back on the horse, and obviously a local derby?
Yeah, obviously we put in a poor performance against Catalan, and Cast didn't play the best against Leeds. So both teams will be looking for a response, and it being in a local derby, we've not done particularly well against Cast in the last few years, and we've struggled with form but solid day. So I think, you know, people say that form book goes out window, so I think we both hope that it does, because neither of us have been playing particularly well. But yeah, it's a massive game that both teams need to win, so it should be an exciting derby.
The table's obviously very tight. Has anyone at Bellevue been talking about relegation or anything like that?
I think it got mentioned after we lost to Salford the other week, but then we beat Huddersfield and we were looking up, but then you suffer a loss and you start looking over your shoulder. So I think I think there's 4 points off the bottom, and we're 4 points off fourth spot. So it's
crazy.
It is wide open. So we've just got to keep looking up and try and get. If we can string a few results together, I don't doubt we can get that top 5.
Has it been a frustrating season? Because obviously Wakey's been in the top 5, top 6 for the last couple of years, and you've played some fantastic rugby. Has it been a tough season, that inconsistency and all those injuries?
Yeah, I think because we started so well, and then we were hit with all those injuries at the same time, it really took the wind out of our sails, and we're just trying to get back that consistency. Because if you're losing games but you're playing well, you know, you can kind of take that on the chin, but we have been so hit and miss that it's been really difficult, and yeah, we'll do our very best to put that right this round.